Borough Council workshop meeting for February 2nd. Can you take a roll call?
President Ferguson.
Here.
Vice President Gerard.
Here.
Councilmember Fagan.
Here.
Councilmember Cresser. Here. Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Gerard.
Here.
Borough Manager Snyder. Here. And Solicitor Harper. Here.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the meeting agenda? So moved. I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Gerard. Any amendments or changes? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed or not? Public input. If anyone from the public would like to speak, please rise and state your name and address and the reason for addressing council. All right. We'll go to item 3, announcements.
Next month's council meeting, February 16, 2022, is the regular meeting at 7:30 p.m. in council chambers. PERC is scheduled to meet Wednesday, February 23rd at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Registration is required. And the next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for February 28, 2022 at 7 p.m. here in council chambers.
Agenda item 4, reports from standing committees and the mayor. So we'll start with budget, labor, and finance. Given early in the year, there's not really a lot to talk about unless the manager would like to state anything specifically. From a labor standpoint, we have been following COVID protocols that we put in place last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have any cases on staff currently, which is a good thing. And that's all for that committee. Planning, building, and zoning report.
Yes, of course, the feral cat ordinance will be later on in the agenda. The committee did meet this evening to discuss the outdoor dining and live entertainment ordinance, and had some input on that and some suggestions for changes, and the solicitor will be putting together a draft for our February 16th meeting, and the rest of the council will look at and discuss it at that time. That's all I have.
Public safety.
We went over a few of the crosswalks that are going in, and also Jimmy's working on setting up that we can go and visit the police and fire stations and meet the new EMS chief too.
Okay.
So that's all in the works. And that's all I have for that one.
And I see we got the speed monitoring out on Edgewood.
Yes.
I think we have the speed monitoring out on Edgewood.
Yes, it's set up for a 2-week study, and then in 2 weeks we'll get a report back from local forum, and they'll let us know what's going on there.
Good, thank you. I know that was a request from, during the election from people on the street, several houses on the street asked for that, so thank you for that.
Yep.
Public Works property equipment. So Public Works met on January 26th via Zoom, and one of the main items of discussion was the Heather Meadows pond maintenance issue. The committee was leaning in the question was whether or not Heather Meadows will be maintained and mowed and trimmed regularly as far as the shores around the pond. Some folks want to see it maintained regularly. Other people would rather see it, go natural. The committee did lean in the direction of letting it grow more naturally for ecological reasons as well as safety reasons. They've had staff members get hurt there while they were doing that type of work in the past. So this was, by letting it grow, you're avoiding that. And there are other, reasons to kind of let it go a little bit more natural. The counter arguments are pretty much aesthetic, I think. So I'm not sure. If there is a whole lot of reason to put in the time to keep that maintained, but we did discuss that pretty at length, and we did advise Public Works to go the natural direction for this time. And Public Works did advise that once we make a decision, we should really stick with it, because while it's easy to maintain now, it's what, on a regular basis, once you do let it grow, if you go back and want to change your mind, it becomes a much more difficult project. So if we are going to go in the natural direction, we should really try to stick with that.
Correct. That's a pond area, does that also include the floodplain area as well? Or we just strictly talking the pond area?
I believe we were just talking about the pond area.
Right.
There was a small strip of grass, I believe, that went closer to the houses on the one side, and you said would continue to be maintained regardless. Also along the trail, there's a section that would continue to be maintained just to kind of keep it off the trail and allow some viewing from, from that edge side. Exactly, from where you walk, where the trail meets the pond. But other than that, because currently it's being maintained all around pretty much the entire, circumference of it is being mowed pretty regularly, which they can continue to do, but there are people that would rather, that have advised, to let it grow, and there's certainly reasons to do that, including it would help, prevent or at least not encourage as many geese to congregate on the pond if you let it grow naturally, which is a bit of an issue on that part.
I think we've all said there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you say the feedback, you can get feedback from residents as well?
Yeah, I would imagine most of the people that want to see it maintained are the people that live in the direct vicinity of the pond, that pays for their waterfront property, I guess we call it. But other than the aesthetic reasons, I can't really see a whole lot of reason why you would continue to maintain it the way it's been maintained, other than just wanting that clean cut look. It does cost money. It is a potential liability for people to go out there and maintain it. And like I said, if you stay on top of it, it's fine. It's no big deal. But if we do decide to do more natural vegetation in there, and then we wait, a year or two, and we have to go back, it might be too big a project for Public Works, depending on how long you let it grow. You get trees and shrubs and all that, perennial native vegetation that would come in. So yeah, we were more of the opinion to go in the natural route. So that is what we said. So happy to try to implement it.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I think the committee was interested in hearing feedback from Borough Council if they agreed or were okay with their recommendation, because that's how, correct me if I'm wrong, that's how we're going to proceed moving forward. But the committee strongly would like any input from Borough Council as a decision as a whole. So just it's not really a policy, it's just how the Public Works is going to proceed for this upcoming season and moving forward.
I mean, my thoughts, I like it to be maintained, but I'm willing to, if we may feel that's a better approach, I'm willing to follow that your recommendations as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is once we come to the decision, try to stick with it. So, like I said, other than, the look, the aesthetic of this being clean cut, there's not a whole, there are more advantages, I would say, than when it's so natural. Just from multiple standpoints. So, that's what we advise. And anybody feels differently, please let us know. Otherwise, we're moving in the natural direction. And that is what we decided on. Otherwise, I think we said, kind of law, so to speak, but it's more just an internal policy. I don't think we're ordering it from
thinking of like the borough, decide on the direction to go and then stick with it and not go back and forth on the whim of the homeowner, that happens to have a sort of point of view at a certain time. So, the ownership changes, people's viewpoints change, and, we just still maintain the pond in a certain way, and we'll just keep that going.
What are your thoughts, natural?
Yeah, I think the fact is natural and continue maintaining along the trail.
And really, the area we're talking natural is really just the area closest to the park, right? So that's really kind of where it's being grown. And along, I guess, with the Heather Meadows, the side of Heather Meadows, the one, this area over here, right? Towards the church? Yeah. That would be interesting. Okay. One question too, in that area, when you need to do periodically, and not necessarily every year, but every 2 to 3 years, have to go into the natural area and clean up trash that you accumulate in there from people and squats and stuff in there, with this wall and things in there? Yeah, that could definitely be an issue that comes up, I guess. You would probably have to clean it somewhat, but it wouldn't prevent that stuff from going into the water, I think. And, typically it's better to have some sort of vegetation around water just to help with runoff and things going, into filtration that kind of helps, keep things out of the water and clean things. But yeah, there would be a certain amount of maintenance, at least not to the extent that we're doing now. Correct. Right. But at least if we did tidy and clean and all that. You can get a lot of debris in there to do with that? Not a whole lot, not good. Yeah, I think a lot of the backlash would come from people that live right there and they just want to keep it where it's always been, which is, that's a viewpoint. But, a holistic picture of the park and just keeping things maintained, there's probably no reason for it to go natural. And as you've seen in other townships, they let a lot of the retention basins go natural recently. And there are certainly ecological benefits, beyond just not taking out as much as public works time and effort and all that. There certainly are reasons to let it go natural. Yeah, there's been some hours people notice with the basin, you get a lot of deer in there first thing in the morning. So, because I love walking my dog early in the morning, before my dog, and oftentimes you see deer hopping around.
I will add that as part of community, a woman that lives on Palmerston Avenue for the past several years has organized a park cleanup at Heritage Park, and it does address cleaning up all of the trash in the pond, in the basin. Ms. Moore has been doing that now for the past at least 5+ years, since even longer. So that does happen, and I do know that Public Works does trash runs, and if they see anything significant, they will get it out of the pond as well.
Yes,
it is. So it's advertised, and she normally does it around Earth Day, but she never does it on the same day that we do our Earth Day events, but it is always sometime in April, and advertises it. And I could say in the past we've had, one year I think we might have had close to 15 people or plus going out there. We provide gloves, we provide trash bags, Public Works picks up the trash the following day. If it's on Saturday, it'll be picked up on Monday. And yes, we do advertise it on our social media and do work with Ms. Moore on that.
And Jason, just to be clear on the area that we're talking about, I know this, the public can't see this, but this area here is the area we're talking about letting grow natural.
Okay.
This is the park side. That's the area we're talking about maintaining.
Okay.
And keeping it to the aesthetic that it is now.
Okay. All right.
Just so everybody's on the same page of where we're talking about.
Okay. Okay, yeah, if I'm standing in the park looking at the right-hand side.
Larkspur ring or cul-de-sac here.
Yeah.
And then there's the top lot and basketball court.
Yep. All right. So it sounds like the feedback you got is to go natural, unless anyone disagrees with it. Yeah, my thinking, when somebody comes up with a really good vision, like Larry had said, we should really stick with it for roughly I'm sure what will happen is always does, right? It'll grow up in a couple of years and then people will start asking. And there's a video, I guess, of kind of maintaining what grows to some extent, by trimming and that type of thing. So, but yeah, it would certainly, as time goes on, it would need some sort of so yeah, I guess it's not a road or anything, it's just maybe the public works. Anything else? We talked about a guide rail for East Poplar Street and East Logan Avenue, and possibly looking at putting that in since all the trees were cut down back there. There's a bit of a, there could be an issue with anything just kind of falling right into the creek there. So we're looking at the possibility of a guide rail, as well as the camera system at the Liberty Bell Plaza, and possibly looking into options for an upgrade there. So there are having issues with the video quality coming out of the camera system is not optimal. So we're looking at different ways to address that. Not necessarily the cameras, but perhaps some sort of new system that would do the job a little bit better. Utilities committee,
we had our meeting last week, and we were looking at the advanced user infrastructure. Our electrical payments for electric fees in December of 2021 were about $34,000, which was actually less than expected. There were also some minor problems with the AMI portal updating usage information, but this has been resolved for now, and we will continue to monitor the requirements of the updating process. And the big thing is that all connections now to the AMI system have been included in the final connection of both systems to the new system. Behind the meter, final testing of the new backup unit has been delayed by issues with PG&L, but is still expected to be completed by the end of February for the management to test it. If this does not happen by then, it will probably be postponed until late June or July, when our historical demand occur, which will help hopefully lower our costs in the future. We are also looking at introducing specialization fuses, which are basically circuit breakers within the borough to help lessen the impact of any future power outages throughout the borough due to weather or natural issues. Study is going to be conducted to determine where the best locations are to install our fuses. Monthly power invoice billing, we will be investigating exchanging our billing information to borough customers, such as breaking out specific charges on the monthly bill, transmission, actual electric usage purchase charges, and PG&L costs of connection fees. This will require changing our internal systems possibly to use for monthly customer billing invoices to include these information. This is a result of the new AMI. We have more information available so that we will be able to use to elect the customers to provide electrical or the gas by breaking things out. And I can see that one this can follow that. Actual County Municipal Authority flow report. Based on the latest report, we are still well within our peak flow rates, which will affect our customer billing rates. The latest court payment delinquencies were about $16,600 higher in the previous time period, and they are being closely monitored to ensure that this is not continued. And finally, the Comcast franchise agreement, our cable franchise agreement, the Comcast will be expiring within the next 2 years, and we are looking to at using the current law group again to help review the new agreement in conjunction with 16 other boroughs in the area. And this will help lower our study expenses by 25% based on the total number of boroughs that join the study consortium, while ensuring that we achieve the best price for the services offered by Comcast. We will continue to get updates on the progress and cost of this endeavor as we get more details to show how many other municipalities will participate. That's all I have. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, we are working on a business of the month recognition. We'd like to set up to use 1 to 3 businesses that will be recognized each month, and every registered business in the borough will be recognized each month a year, including any small mom and pop businesses. We're looking to integrate the recognition of borough businesses into the website and Facebook page, and use those to interactively promote specific information and also establish an email list. people can exchange information between the different businesses. The borough is planning on celebrating birthday on Saturday, April 23rd, with recycling for various items to be set up at Antonio Automotive, with the National County Police for traffic control. A logo will be designed for the event, as well as information on what items will be eligible for recycling. Also, with the changes that have occurred on the committee, we will be investigating a business of the month revamp and sentence working in the county to help with SBA loans and any grants in order to distribute information to the various borough businesses. This would include the possibility of setting up a section or website for businesses, banks, and legislative contacts for the business community. Founders Day has been scheduled for June 23rd of this year, and Borough Fest for the 29th of October. And we had a vacancy on the HERB committee, which was decided by the HERB committee to extend an invitation to Bob Weiner, who is the current owner of Hatcher, to join the committee. And as far as I know, he has expressed interest in joining.
Who was the next guy for the Any questions, Council Borough? Dual action committee, so we're still working on the format for this. Still have to reach out to Tom Driscoll and talk with him about how we want to meet and kind of set up a meeting schedule. So that's in the works as we speak. So nothing to report on that today. And Mayor Mary Ann Gerard report.
On the January 20th, I attended the meeting of the Northern Montgomery County Recycling. It was an organized reorganization meeting, but basically everything stayed the same. The same officers were re-elected to serve, the same engineering firm was retained, and the same solicitor was retained. So nothing much has been processed. Now, as you know, the borough is one of 11 municipalities that participate in this, and the whole purpose is to increase recycling and promote recycling awareness and education in compliance with Act 101, which is the Clean Recycling Law. As part of that, and actually the main activity of the commission is to develop and submit the annual line for recycling grant application to DEP. So I just wanted to report on that. Right now we're working on the 2020 grant. And the estimated amount of this grant for 2020 is less than we anticipated. It will be about $281,000, which is a decrease of $29,000 from 2019. The reason for that is because less recycling was done in 2020, and I think we all know why. The residential recycling was down by 3%, the commercial was down by 14%. So that is why the expected amount for rent is lower. Now, the grant will be distributed up amongst the 11 municipalities, and it will be based on the census of those municipalities, and they will be using the 2020 census. So I don't know that our census has gone up that drastically in the last 10 years, but it has gone up. So I don't know when exactly they will have the grant. I know it's been submitted. So as soon as I get something, I will report back on that. And that's it. Thank you.
Since they said recycling down, do they make any recommendations on how to get recycling back up?
Well, get rid of food. People can feel that food is a big culprit here. There's one thing that you can. I mean, people, businesses that were closed. Businesses were shut, so that's why the commercial is down so much. They're not opening up any recycling. I thought that the residential recycling was a lot. Everybody's own.
Anybody from that? All right, well, item 5, report and correspondence, monthly investment report.
In your package this evening was the monthly investment report provided by Diane Farrell, the Borough Treasurer. I just wanted to bring to your attention one item in there, and that is the Hatfield Borough Electric Investment Account. That would be the last one, I believe. What I wanted to bring to your attention was Hatfield Borough Investment Policy. We have an internal policy with KeyBank. The internal policy that we have is we don't like to keep more than 20% cash on hand in our investments, in our accounts. If we go above 20%, we invest that money. So at the end of last year, this account specifically reached roughly 30% cash. So as a maintenance on our investments, KeyBank invested that it was approximately, cash balance was approximately $283,000, and that's about 30% of that account. So I had a conversation with KeyBank, and due to the maintenance that they do on these investment funds, they invested in the Vanguard short-term treasury fund. That's just one of the investments that we already do invest in, so it was just basic maintenance. They weren't investing in something new, so it didn't need to go through for public approval or anything. It's just another fund that we have that we invest in, just to keep our cash below 20%. So we brought our cash down to 19, and that's just what we like to keep the cash at for the internal policy. This account for Vanguard is liquid, so if something happened tomorrow and I had to call, I could take that money out and there would be no penalty. It's not like investing in a CD or any long term. So that's just, I wanted to get an update on that account specifically. Everything else you can see Diane highlighted in the report, talking about the percentage that we changed and the disbursements and the fees. Also included behind the investment is the cash account report. So that wasn't, Diane hadn't included in the past couple meetings, but this is something moving forward that will be included in this section. This just lists the cash that we have in our accounts, in our sewer, and our electric. It talks about our capital thinking projects and our highway aid. It just gives an overview of all the accounts in the borough.
EIT and LST.
So as you can see in the package was your monthly EIT and LST. You can see that for January we're off to a really good start, over $11,000. I think we haven't seen that since 2019. So hopefully we're coming back. As we've mentioned previously, we haven't seen that big of a drop when we went through COVID, as expected, as some other municipalities did, so we fared fairly well. But I was happy to see this coming in January already, reaching the $11,000 mark for EIT. And I'll add that during tax season, those things, February tends to be a pretty good month for us as well. So hopefully we'll continue on that path of bringing in some higher numbers for February and March. So this is a new report that Diane and I are still trying to figure out or work out. It's something that I just thought would be good if council and the mayor could see where we are year to date for every month, just revenues and expenses. It's really simple. I know you can take your bill list and figure out what we spend out of the budget. But just something so you can see how much money we have coming in every month and how much money we have going out every month. And just kind of keep it plain and simple moving forward. So we'll do this for every month and then keep a running total at the bottom. I thought it was just another tool that council would be able to use to kind of keep on track of our finances.
No, I think it's good. If we can add some budget on there, see how that compares with budget on it, that would be good.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of like a work in progress. Diane and I were, I was like, I think it should be a little bit more transparent. They should see a little bit more and not wait till September to see what, sometimes other council members that aren't on budget, finance, and labor don't get to see the real true expenses until September when we start talking about the budget. So just trying to think of, do you have any suggestions or things you'd like to see? It's just kind of a work in progress, but I can definitely talk to her about adding some like budget, budget numbers in there as well. Just moving forward, no problem.
Well, 15% of all money is different, so.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that.
Police department board will be next. And again, thank you for the monitoring, this week.
For the report since, we got it.
Yeah. Seems like a relatively calm month, do you agree with that?
Only 2 weeks, so. Other than people driving down the road, so, alright, we'll take that.
There's nothing really to highlight there. This is to go to our fire department report.
Sure, so this report was in your last meeting, but it was a conversation of just kind of comparing 2021 to 2020 to 2020. So I just wanted to include it again this month under the report, so you can see the difference in the calls for Hatfield Borough for 2021 was 41, and in 2020 was 49. Those were just a couple things I highlighted, but you can take the time and kind of compare and see where they were at in 2020 versus 2021. I do have a request into the chief of the fire company and the president of the fire company just to have a sit down with them, so I can be the best liaison that I can be to Borough Council, and also asking them for a tour. So I set them a couple dates, and I'll let you know what they said.
How are they doing on the recruitment? I know they haven't.
Yeah, I think it's just everywhere, so I know that they would love to have more volunteers and more people, and I think that's how it is in every organization right now. I think people would just like to see that. And as I said last meeting, the daytime drivers that we supply them or allow them to go is invaluable for them. That's really where they make the most benefit, is having those daytime drivers, so they appreciate that.
And so, they have, I know we're talking about shortages, but this is question volunteers, so we have enough to cover.
Yes, yep. We had a presentation, I would say, it might have been maybe it was November of last year. It was Manager DeFinis, myself, and President Wireman. And I can reach out to the chief when I have a meeting and just ask about the presentation. It was great. It showed about their response times versus other response times, the response times during the day, really in-depth detailed of all the work that goes into a volunteer fire department. And please remember, it's a volunteer fire department. It was just a really good eye-opening presentation. And I can ask if I can get a copy, or maybe that can be a presentation that you can give to this council. And it does talk about volunteers, and it talks about how many drivers they have responding, and it talks about, their response time now versus maybe last year, and, all those types of things. So it was a really good presentation.
Yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile to have that, whether it's a council meeting or even a recorded meeting at some point. So
yep.
We're not doing that as well.
Sure.
All right, public works report. And if you talk about all the stuff
I don't have enough time in this meeting to talk about everything that we do in the month, but I'll highlight on a few things. There were a couple electrical issues that we had. I'll start off with that. Certainly relatively minor, considering that they were very limited. So funny enough, they both happened on the same day. The first one was early in the morning, 8:03 in the morning was when we got the initial call that there was an outage. Typical squirrel, got in the primary and crossed himself up with the ground and blew a fuse. The response time was impeccable here, just because of the circumstance we already had car and dust in town doing other scheduled work. Later that night, I had received a call from Hatfield Township Police that there was a wire crossing, down wire blocking Union Street, 200 block, I believe, in front of the firehouse. Basically, the attachment point for the service cable at this property no outage was officially done at that time. We caused an outage when we had to safely disconnect the wires to reattach them properly. All the repairs we did was on a temporary basis because it was extremely cold that night and we didn't want to leave anybody without power. So letters were sent out to the property owners saying they had to fix not what we did, but fix the problems they had on their end. So that was really it as far as electric. And then it's just been the fun snowstorms that we've been dealing with. The last one was just a doozy for us. It wouldn't go away. But we did our best. We're still looking good on salt, so nobody has to worry about anything. And all of our equipment's been holding up good. So that's been the major stuff for public works.
I would like to agree too. You have to act on the bridge, so we'll push back on what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I apologize. The picture, I think there's a picture included in there, right? The picture that was included in there wasn't the best, but it's kind of tough to get a good quality photo late at night in the dark.
No, there's no picture.
No picture? No. Okay. I'm going to give you a little help.
Next time.
The picture of it being dark?
Sure. All right, how about our engineer report?
Staff report was included in your package this evening. One section of the report I would really like to highlight is the 2022 ADA ramp replacement project. I'm going to have Lindsay pull up a picture on the screen just to kind of highlight what he's talking about here. So, as you know, every year we go through the process of the ADA and replacing our ADA ramp, and please Steve can jump in at any time because he's worked more one-on-one with the utilities aspect of this project. So, every year we do the ADA ramp. This year, ADA is going to be, portion of it's going to be on East Lincoln Avenue. I draw your attention to this intersection on East Lincoln Avenue, which is right behind Franconia Auto. There's an alleyway you can see that goes up, and there are two curb depressions right there, but they're not ADA ramps at this time. So if we wanted to move forward and make those ADA compliant ramps, we would have to drop the alley over 13 inches. The sidewalk itself would have to drop over 8 inches. Right there by the tree is underground utilities that we're unaware of. We know that some is electric, we just don't know how far down it goes. We don't know the extent of the underground utilities. And also there is a stone wall there that when we start digging, if we do the ADA ramps at that intersection, that stone wall could come down. So these unknown costs and unknown things that we're dealing with is going to make a significant impact on the ADA this ADA project. The cost that we were even thinking about was, doubling what Steve even thought about for a ramp. If you put a ramp at $8,000, each ramp might be $18,000, $19,000 for a ramp, and that's unknown until you start digging. So it was suggested, and we have been talking about not doing ADA ramps just specifically at this portion on East Lincoln Avenue at this time. It doesn't mean that we can't go back in the future and do it. It just means to keep this project moving forward, we were not going to do the ramp specifically at this time right here. If we're talking about the schedule's really tight this year. We want to get the ADA ramps done because we want to pave East Lincoln Avenue because we have a car show in September. So we're kind of just going to keep this project moving forward. Right now, Chad's in the process of putting the whole bid package out together. You're going to have on for consideration this evening to advertise that bid package. And right now, he put the good package together that did not include ADA ramps at this specific alley right now. As I said, it doesn't mean that you can't do it moving forward. It would just hold up the project, and it's just the cost is unknown right now. And it wasn't something that we wanted to risk, especially with our liquid fuels money being so tight. And we can still use liquid fuels for this project.
Is there any hazard or step there that we have to worry about? I mean, it looks like it level sort of pretty, is that a fair assessment?
Currently, that's how everything is.
Okay.
So there is currently ramps in place. They're just not to the current day and age ADA specifications.
Wow.
Yeah,
Even if the road work was newer, right? When was that done? What year ago?
I was going to say, I thought maybe it was done when we did the revitalization in 2009. Mm-hmm.
What's council's thoughts? Do they agree with the assessment? And postponing doing the ADA ramp system? Putting the back of it doesn't seem to, it's in a condition now that provides for maneuverability over that area. You go there. That will be called.
Okay. So Steve and I will pass that information along to Chad. He basically, like I said, has the bid package completed, and then when you authorize to advertise, you can put that out and continue on with the schedule, which looks like heavy doing some stuff, some paperwork and bid opening in March, and then substantial completion by the mid-June. Other things highlighted in his report was the Orchard Lane and Forest Way sanitary sewer project. I will say that he had talked about getting substantial completion for that project, and we were not at that yet. As of, might have been Friday last week, or it might have been this week, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. That substantial completion is not yet given, but part of the reason why it wasn't was because a manhole wasn't keeping pressure. So it has to be pressure tested, and Steve was out there and observed them, and it did pass the pressure test. So that's just one step closer to substantial completion for that project.
What is the pressure test on the man?
So what they do is when they install new sanitary sewer lines, to make sure that it's air or that it's watertight, they make sure it's airtight. So they block it. They fill up basically. They block off different sections at a time, pump water or pump air into the system, into the pipe itself, and they sectionalize it off. So they'll do a section from manhole to manhole of the pipe itself, and then they'll do just, the manhole itself, and they'll pump air into it, and it has to hold a certain amount of PSI for so many seconds without dropping. So if it holds that pressure for so many seconds, and I think it's somewhere around 10 PSI for 60 seconds. I could be wrong on those numbers, but something in that general area. If it holds that pressure for 60 seconds, it passes. Basically means it's airtight, which means it would be watertight as well. So they had issues with one manhole. I was on scene this week, and they did pressure test it again, and it passed this time. No, it's very, very little. It was a little bit of hydraulic cement they had to put on the inside. Which is not uncommon.
No, he just did some updates on subdivision and land development, so you can read through those, and then just that, we continue to work on the MS4 program. Part of our meeting last week, I believe it was, with Chad and Gus, was significant talk about the MS4. It's a lot of money that just municipalities don't have and don't have budgeted, and just trying to brainstorm ideas of how we can, keep being in compliance with an ever-changing DEP MS4 program.
Zoning officer and building code?
Bob Howell's report was included in the package. He has yet to start fire safety inspections. but that is on their radar to start in the next several months. I want to bring your attention to some notice of violations that he had issued. One was for 129 West Lincoln Avenue for a shed that was improperly located in the front and side yard. They did have a permit to do this, but the shed was placed wrong. They are working with the company to move the shed in the correct location. Unfortunately, the ground was wet, and then it was dry, and now it's wet again, so he's just working with them. 60 Townmention Avenue, that's the corner of Townmention and Butler. There is, if you have ever noticed, there are trees that are on the corner. It kind of blocks your sight when you're trying to turn. He had issued a notice of violation to have those trees maintained, they're little bushes, to have them maintained to be able to have clear sight triangle. And 80 North Market Street, he issued a notice of violation for an unsafe structure that's almost directly across from the Hatfield Volunteer Fire Company. There's a large barn or shed that is behind there that just is an unsafe structure and needs to be taken down. My question is, would you have photos of that, Larry? Do you need that for the historical study and take a photo? Okay. Bob had asked, and I was like, oh, I'll ask before someone comes in there and removes it. Okay. Yeah. And also starting, I guess, yesterday, Bob had gone around along with other staff members and issued violations for non-snow removal in the borough. So the doors were posted and letters were sent to those that don't permanently reside in the borough. If the homeowner is outside and just rents the unit. So those were, if you get any phone calls, those were sent out yesterday.
And you said the fire inspection was going to begin in the next couple of months?
Yeah, so I really feel we have to get Katie has to work on getting the notices out for payment first, and then Bob was going to start after that. So I would say they would start by the end of March. I would like to see them, but I know we're in a transition phase with code that they're working on hiring more help. So maybe somebody that could come in that's not Bob on Thursdays and just do fire safety inspections. So they are working through the process of hiring somebody. So I think that will aid in the time frame of when the fire safety inspections can start.
Yeah, I think like so we talked before that we want to do those things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me, Fire Marshal, Fire Safety?
So Fire Marshal Dan Ajak submitted his report. This just highlights the incident of the spill on North Barbie Avenue and where we stand today, and his working with the fire company and the public works, how he commends them on their response to this incident. Right now, the homeowners are going through, the homeowner and the neighbor is going through insurance. So after the borough is kind of out of that, it's been pushed to DEP. DEP is taking control, and they're working on cleanup and remediation through homeowners insurance and DEP.
Pool advisory report?
So I do not have a pool advisory report included in this packet. I did reach out to the pool advisory board member who always attends just to ask for meetings and ask for an update, but I have yet to hear back, so I will follow up.
All right, item 6, manager's report.
In your packet this evening was my manager's report. I will highlight a few items for land use and development. I have reached out to Bennett's Court. That is the proposed 18 townhomes off of Maple Avenue, and I have yet to hear a response back. I also reached out to SEPTA just to see where we are with the long-term lease, where we are with the lease agreement, what's going on with the property, kind of get an update, and I'm waiting on a response from Mr. Goldberg, who is kind of the real estate guru at SEPTA. So I just wanted to highlight those two because they're big items that we haven't heard any response from in the last several months. I did reach out a few times, but haven't heard a response yet. For utility billing update, I want to let you know, staff, we continue to monitor past due accounts. I will add, it was highlighted in the Utilities Committee report about delinquencies. There is a shut-off for sewer scheduled for the 22nd of this month. So we will work with North Penn Water, who has lifted their moratorium for shut-offs, and we will be doing sewer shut-offs the 22nd of this month to help collect the $16,000 we are in delinquent. Email billing is always an option, and the customer portal, if you haven't taken advantage of it, I suggest that you do. We actually had a call yesterday with AMP, and it was brought up that only 20 people are registered on the customer portal, and 20 is, they thought was great. And because any other municipality they have is like 3, and it's the 3 admins. And but to me, 20 was not good enough, and same with David. So David and I are going to sit down and try to figure out some maybe good marketing or some good things to push this out, especially to someone like Brooks, who is now fully online and fully integrated into our system, a major user that could actually probably really use finance-wise the data that the system provides them. So we're going to sit down and kind of think of some marketing that we can do or something to come up with pushing the customer portal, because 20 just wasn't good enough for us. And I think we were both surprised it was so low, and they were happy it was so high, so it was very strange. But we'll work on that, and if anybody has any ideas of ways to make connections or get the word out, please, we're all ears. It's a good tool that people can utilize, especially when the data is coming in and it's kept up to date.
Yeah, the one feedback that I've heard from a couple people was about the charges for using the credit card charges.
Oh, okay.
So,
yep.
But I don't think people realize that anytime you use your credit card, they're going to charge you for it one way or the other. We're just open and honest about it, transparent about it. So I think that's kind of a negative perception of it. At least I've heard from a couple of residents.
Yeah, that if they use the pay online through Municipay, that there's a flat fee charge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some of the outstanding projects, just to highlight, the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge is complete. The payments are complete. We are now starting the process of going through the reimbursement. So I'm working with McMahon to get all our past invoices together, that we paid everything that's come out of our borrowed funds to put in for reimbursement. That takes probably, I would say, roughly 4 weeks to compile all that information together, and then we'll send it off. And depending on how many requests they have right now is how fast we'll get our money. So I'll keep you updated. And I highlighted in Chad's report the Orchard and Forest Way CDBG sanitary sewer project, where we stand on that. And I also wanted to highlight the CMAQ grant. So I've had a few questions in relation to the synchronization of the signals that were taking place between Hatfield Township and Hatfield Borough. And where we are today is we're waiting on the final connection of communication fiber for the borough and the township to set up the system on the PennDOT server. So it's just waiting on the final connection of fiber, and then again waiting on PennDOT to have it uploaded on their server. And then hopefully we can alleviate even more some of the timing and backup that we still see on South Main Street. 2022 project updates. We spoke about the ADA ramps, roadway resurfacing. Bid package is being put together. We'll continue to work on the scheduling. West Broad, East Broad, North Market, and sanitary sewer grant project. Berkshire is finishing up the survey and working on putting the bid package together. In this report was the January PMEA update with a really nice highlight of retiring managers that have served public power entities, including past manager DeFinis and Bob Thompson from Ephrata. And the Rice Peaking project, the new fiber line was run from our AMP site all the way down to the behind-the-meter generator, as was highlighted in the Utilities Committee report. And we're still shooting for February. I had confirmed with Lily today from AMP that the fiber is 100% paid for by AMP. The borough will not incur any costs now and or in the long term. And that February is still our day by the end of February. That was confirmed today. So we'll still keep moving forward, and now that kind of our ducks are in a row, we're just waiting for final things with CP&L. Hopefully we can hit that drop dead date at the end of February. The AMI, everything is 100% installed, and as of last Friday, Brooks was 100% integrated into our system. So we're moving forward with that. Attached was the Public Information Officer update that Lindsay provides for every meeting. She highlights what they talked about during HERC and some updates of where we are with the social media and our newsletters. I will highlight, I thought it was really interesting, and Lindsay, you can please chime in, I might have the numbers wrong. Lindsay had a good idea to run a, if you want to call it a contest during the snowstorm, just to attract kind of more people to our website, our social media. It was Guess How Much Snow. We have Borough Business gift cards that we just have, that we collected from past events, so they are just sitting here. We wanted to put them to good use. And I think what was the traffic was up?
It was like 471% or something from the week before. And we get interaction, but not much, you know. So there was like ridiculous numbers. And I had sent it to Jamie, and I said, "Oh, look at all this." So, of course, now I'm not going to find it.
I wanted to highlight that it was just a off-the-cuff kind of throwing, an idea out there, and it brought some, traffic to our social media, which we're really trying to work on, and brought traffic to the borough. And it seemed to be, we seemed to have good response for it. So I just thought it was a neat idea that she had that we could implement. Some items of interest, the PSAB conference registration is, if you are interested in attending PSAB this year, please let me know. I can sign you up and register you for the conference. It's May 22nd through 25th at the Hershey Lodge. Next Era conference starts this Saturday. Steve and I will be attending. We'll be out of the office from the 5th through the 9th, attending the Next Era conference, which is a conference related to electricity. And the APPA Legislative Rally Conference, we normally do attend that every year. They are having it in person, but there are very strict guidelines in getting into the Capitol. And with things that are going on down there, our meetings with Casey and T will actually be virtual. So I believe I will be attending that conference just virtually this year. It will be the same as I did last year. We have FEMA IDA reimbursement. This is something that Steve and Katie are working on. You can see the project list that we are working to get reimbursed with for IDA. And then I wanted to bring to your attention, if you came in the back door in the municipal complex, it was dark, but you might have seen it looked like some type of grinding was done out back on the ramp. There was a significant trip out back that could have caused a workers' comp claim, so the Public Works has grinded that down and for a temporary solution, and we will wait until the warmer weather to look for a more permanent solution. We do realize that there is water being held underneath the sidewalk that keeps it, that the draining isn't right, that keeps it, when it freezes, things go up and down, so we'll address that in the spring. But for temporary, the Public Works today did grind out back. If you do walk down the ramp, you will notice it. So, any questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, item number 7, new business. Start with resolution 2022-02, transfer funds.
This will be transferring $10,896.25 from the borrowed funds at Harleysville Savings Bank to the general fund to pay for bridge inspection. We had spoke about this last meeting during the bill list, and this is just a resolution that we need to pass so we can go move the funds from Harleysville Bank to the general fund at 2 days.
Any questions on that? Item B, the change order number 1 for the Hessel Fire Company.
This is change order request number 1 for our Charles A. Higgins This is for the fire company flasher. In December, Steve and I went to a pole location on-site meeting, and it was determined that the pole that would be located closer to the Doyle sign, I want to say the other one's on around the bend, so closer to Doyle's where our utilities are, was 25 feet. It needs to be 30 feet because we have utilities right behind the sidewalk. So where the pole would have been placed was going to be right in our underground utilities. So this is a change order request just to make the pole from 25 feet to 30 feet and the amount of $4,287. This is on for consideration this evening. For those that are new to council, this is a grant that we have, a CTC grant. It's in share with Hatfield Township, and we are only responsible for 20% of the grant, and then that 20% is divided 50-50 by Hatfield Township. So, estimated would be $6,500 now instead of $6,000.
That was listed on your 2022 project update, so we include that next time?
Sure.
Okay. And do we know what the date of installment is going to be for that?
No, we do not. So I asked Anton last week, and Anton had said that they were waiting on confirmation from a PA1 call just for the underground utilities, but that Higgins has ordered the mast arms, and normally those can be 12 weeks, 24 weeks out. So that all materials were ordered for the project. They're just waiting on them to come in and the PA1 call, just to make sure that all utilities for underground are marked.
Okay. So the plan is to get that information, get the equipment in and schedule the installation, or will they have an estimated installation timing?
No, I think it's when the equipment comes in and it arrives, they're going to start the install. And the PA1 call, I don't believe was done yet. It might have been.
There's been multiple PA1 calls that we've seen so far. The last one was from Higgins himself. I don't remember seeing one from McMahon, but they should have all been marked by now. So I don't know if they're waiting for. Sometimes they'll recall in an additional one call for the same ticket, and they'll call out one particular utility owner. Like they'll say, not to throw, I'll throw myself into the bus. Hatfield Borough, you need to mark out your, basically do a better job of marking out your underground electric. We know we have underground electric in that area. We marked it out, like James said, the day of our meeting that we had out there. That's what brought the idea from going from one size mast arm to a larger one, because where I knew our underground electric was, they knew they were going to have to move it back further away from that. So that could be what they're waiting for at this point.
I see the 2022 ADA rank, ADA program project. Maybe we already talked about that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the HERC appointment.
So there is a vacancy on the HERC committee for the term ending December 31st, 2024. It was communicated during the update that Mr. Robert Weiner, owner of Patrick's Sports Bar and Grill, is interested in serving on the committee and would like to fill that vacancy. And this is on for consideration this evening.
I need a resolution 2022-03 to work on a point of contact.
So since manager to finish retired, first-timer needs to update their contacts and to release confidential information, which would be allow Diane and myself to continue to get the EIP and the LSP reports. You just have to pass a resolution. It was suggested that because the resolution that was passed previously listed the manager's name specifically, which would have been Michael to finish, it was suggested that this time we can just list borough manager / treasurer, so that way if there's any change moving forward, the new borough manager or the new treasurer would still be able to access that without going through this process.
There's no questions on new business. We'll go to old business. Ordinance 543, feral cat.
This is placed in your packet this evening just so you could have another look at this ordinance. This was advertised and was in the newspaper today, and it's on for a public hearing at the next meeting, which is February 16th.
This wasn't in the newspaper today, it wasn't in the reporter.
Sorry, not a repeat that?
What?
Repeat that, I didn't hear what you said.
It was not in the reporter.
It was in the report.
So then I missed it. And you can check every day, it's the only way to get information. I'll go back and check my paper.
It's on, to the back in the classified ad section. And so,
Sometimes it's very difficult finding things in the reporter.
I agree with you, but, I did find it on pages 6 and 7.
Okay, I'll check my paper, thank you.
And the image of that was included in the packet, is that correct, Lindsay?
I don't make the packet. Sorry, I'm just helping out.
The latest draft are in your packet.
Latest draft is in the packet, and yes, there is a notice in the yeah. Oh, there you go, sorry.
Right.
There you go.
It's easier to read in your packet than in
Yeah.
So I agree with that. But the law is what the law is, and we have to advertise draft ordinances at least 7 days before you're gonna vote on it.
Okay, under old business item B, ordinance 544, veterans per hour ordinance.
So this ordinance was included in your packets as well, just so you can take another look at it. There was some changes that were made in relation to the appointment being done by council president for the committee. It was advertised today in the North Penn Reporter, and it is on for a public hearing at the February 16th regular meeting.
And just to give council some background, I had asked Solicitor Harper to make the change because apparently the wording was different than how we've been acting and how we've been functioning, whereas the president would assign the chairman, but the wording did not match that. So I had Solicitor Harper make that change just so it matched what we were doing in the past. And then the other thought too on that was, if the committee appointed its own chairperson, they may appoint someone who's a business owner, someone who doesn't live in the community, and we really want to stay, and we kind of make the direction coming from council.
And council does appoint the members, so it makes sense for council to appoint a president, the chair, whatever you call it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, so if you look at that, that's a little bit different than what we looked at 2 weeks ago in the conference.
That's basically the only change, I think.
Any questions on that before we get to the action item?
Any questions about the Pearl Caddy? We talked enough about that.
And you're going to have former councilman John here, who is definitely part of that as well too. So I think he's going to make sure that his work is finally being incorporated.
Well, I did send you, I think, that Conshohocken recently passed a Pearl Cat ordinance too. They're slightly different. They're going to hire 3 different animal control officers, but they're bigger than we are.
Are you stuck on that number 6 number?
It's up to Borough Council. It's the number of...
I mean, 6 is still a lot of cats.
It is.
One cat's too many.
Not everybody agrees that one cat's too many. There are a lot of cats.
One cat is too many.
Oh, nothing against cats, but I'm sorry, Joe.
The ordinance does say that if you let your cat run outside, you have to have a collar on it or your name or something like that. So,
But I have nobody taking, it's not a your cat, they're just feeding feral stray cats. I don't think they belong to anybody. It's just one guy pretty much feeding them, 2 people. So.
you have a hearing?
I did, I know.
No, definitely we're going to do that, and we'll have the hearing next week, and we'll make a final determination. If we decide if we want to decrease it or increase the number, we can make that change. At the meeting in 2 weeks. So.
I don't think that would void the advertising, changing that number.
No. As you described, it's not significant. So.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get into our action items. Item A, motion to consider resolution 2022-02, transfer of funds from the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge Project inspection in the amount of $10,896.25. I'll make a motion on that. I got a motion from Councilor Gerard, a second from Councilor Stevens. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. Item B, motion to consider the change order request number 1 for the Hatfield Volunteer Fire Company flash in the amount of $4,287.00 to Charles A. Higgins for a total contract amount of $65,338.40. I have a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Fagan. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, motion to consider advertising the 2022 ADA curb ramp project specification.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Cresser. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, motion to consider appointing Robert, I pronounce his last name correctly, Lima?
Yes.
To the Hatfield Economic Revitalization Committee, or HERC, to fill a vacant term expiring December 31st, 2024. Second. I got a motion from Councilor Gerard, second from Councilor Fagan. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item E, motion to consider resolution 2022-03, appointing the borough manager / secretary and the borough treasurer, the point of contact for the confidential tax information through Berkheim. Second. I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilor Gerard. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And that suggestion was a very good suggestion for one in the end. So I like that we're thinking crazy on that. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? Great. All right.
There will be a brief executive session to discuss personnel, litigation, and political issues.
Thank you.